All right. Self-care plans of action and avoiding burnout as a therapist.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I definitely appreciate this reminder and also think that it can be complicated, but I've experienced a lot of burnout. So I have experienced firsthand, like, I do not function as well and I cannot show up as well when I'm burnt out. Um, so yeah, I appreciate like I don't know, very basic reminders of like drink water, move, get outside, connect with other people, eat food. Um, yeah, I think like just self-awareness and checking in with myself and probably also like having professional community who can kind of be like, hey, you are run down. Like you don't seem your best. You need a break or some, I don't know. Um, yeah, those are some initial thoughts.
Yeah, I liked your last point on like professional community. I think that's yeah, that's something I'll want and need for sure. As a therapist. And yeah, I mean, we were kind of talking about like for me, things we were talking about kind of before we started, like, I feel like I'm already kind of like in a deficit. Because yeah, I moved. It was a lot to bite off, like moving weeks a few weeks before classes started, leaving like my home, my spouse, my like hobbies that were not easily transferable out here, like some music lessons I hadn't been able to find, that was something that had filled my cup before. And I longboarded back home, but LOL, I live in the city now, and the hills that made it like not conducive and so far away from like people that love me and community. So I think like self-care is really just like how can you resource yourself, like what building a life that like has enough structure in it to like fall into like the rhythms of like flow that work for me. Like I really do like when I've been more closer to like thriving and resourced and being able to like show up more fuller in the past has been when I've had like enough structure in my like, day to day, week to week, with also enough like open time to like, yeah, find flow that makes sense. Like I'm envisioning if I do end up in the seat of like being a therapist one day, like it would be helpful to have, a relatively set schedule. Like maybe I work Monday through Thursday from these times to these times. And then I've got, these social engagements on these nights of the week. And then these days are when I try to go hiking or get into nature. And um, yeah, I think like structuring life in a way that supports and sustains my like well-being is really something I'm missing right now. Um, and it feels like foundational for self-care. Yeah, those are my first thoughts.
Yeah, I really appreciate a lot of the things you brought up, like just community and this balance of like structure and free time. Um, those feel really important. And I think I forget how you phrased it. Like I'm totally blanking, but basically building this sort of structure of that's sustainable and supportive. So that yeah, you can do this like job career thing and still be you and get the nourishment that you need in all the different ways. Um, yeah, and there's something that came up for me when you said that, was thinking about like, I don't know, like the tasks that I know are hard for me, and building support around that as well, because I feel like that's a place where I get really prone to burnout, is like if I feel really overwhelmed. I know I won't have to write a lot of papers, but we were just talking about, I've a final paper for another class, and how procrastination has played a big role this week. And just thinking about like ways to structure my week. Like you're describing this sort of Monday through Thursday thing, and I like this vision too. I've thought of something similar, and um yeah, building into that structure whatever the equivalent of like papers becomes, whether it's like responding to emails or writing notes, I don't know. But yeah, that building that into the structure so that the structure really continues to be supportive of that kind of thing too. So like not just having this balance of fun and things I need for basic health, but also things that make the job work as well as possible for me and my unique whatevers that I have going on.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking about what you said of like the things that you procrastinate on. I don't do this enough, but whenever I have, it's been so helpful. And like, one, in my own life as a person trying to like do adult tasks and make appointments and figure the like, fine print out about, just navigating these systems that I have to do with trying to, find healthcare, all the things. It's so helpful like doing body doubling. And I feel like I would love to, as a therapist, like have, a pack of friends, colleagues where there is that, maybe it's like a real time, like, yeah, on Fridays from 12 to 2, we all are like in a shared Zoom space, and that's when we're doing these various tasks and we can like ask each other questions or have support. Like, yeah, just not being alone in the like daunting tasks, I think would be really nice to have like professional community. You named that at the beginning. So yeah, I think that would help. I really am like grateful that supervision is necessary, like when you're getting your hours and at the beginning, but I'm like, I feel like I want to be in like supervision groups forever. Like I'm gonna want to be in a sense of like community and sharing like, yeah, sharing like the labor, sharing like the load with other people, like, oh, I liked how you named like, your fellow future therapist friends being like, hey, Anna, like you looking run down, like you should take care of yourself. Like we care about you. So yeah, just support and the care as a fellow human, but then also the like ins and outs of things that you have to do as a therapist. I think that would be really helpful. And
Yeah.
not so like all the responsibility all the time, like accountability. It would feel like accountability in a way, like buddies.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Like there's I think there are like consultation groups and stuff that you can be in forever. And yeah, I think that would be like really important for me too. I mean, you just named that, but because there's also something that I think could feel really sort of isolating about you are holding so much. That's what this work is. Um, so to be in community where you are then also held feels like for me, that feels really necessary.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And that balance. I looked at the handout and I had like a weird reaction to number 7, which is surround yourself with great people. Make sure that the people in your life are upbeat, positive, and know how to enjoy life. Um, and that like didn't land well as written.
Mm.
But I think there's something in there about balance, like not, and I think that this was named in some of my other classes that like you need some people in your life and some experiences that aren't like going into the depths and processing everything that's going on and all the feelings, and it's more just like let's
Yeah.
dance, let's whatever, play.
Yeah.
um, and that feels, I have much less practice at like having those things in my life.
Mm.
But lately I've had like a few experiences where I got to have those and I'm like, oh, this is really supportive. So yeah, I do want to find some things to include in this life that I'm building, that are more regular, that are in that category.
Yeah. Pisces fifth house. Do it for the fun of it. Levity.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so true. Yeah, it's super nice, like, and for 7, the way that I'm interpreting that, like with what you just brought in and like, yeah, being with it, it's easier for me to like be light and with people where there's like common shared values. Um, so yeah, I think it's important to, yeah, community, have people around you that you like to spend time with and that you trust, but then can also like lighten up and laugh. Because it's like it's a heavy world and time right now. Always, has been depending on who you are and where you're located. But yeah, things are heavy and it's a lot to navigate life and also holding the heaviness with people. Yeah, it does feel really important to laugh and have light moments too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think having time for hobbies, making time for hobbies, finding like weekly routine-ish things that are fun or engaging or use a different part of like my mind or body feels really important in that like structure. Um, my own therapy. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I was also thinking in this professional community um direction of, this feels like more extreme, not the daily self-care, but like the safety net of self-care that's like, okay, it feels impossible to take a vacation, like take a week or a few weeks off. So having people in my community, my professional community, who like maybe we have mutual agreements of, if you go on vacation, I will be available to see some of your clients.
Mhm.
Um, and that we like respect and trust each other's style and trust that we will hold each other's clients well. Um,
Mm.
because I feel like, yeah, just knowing myself, this tendency for sort of perfectionism and like that I and people pleasing, like I don't want to leave people hanging. Like these
Mm,
people are depending on me, but on the other hand, sometimes I will need a break.
totally.
And so, yeah, having something in place so I don't feel like, well, bye.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, that could also feel supportive.
I was thinking that too, like vacation time, like guaranteeing myself like 2 weeks or 3 weeks a year, like I will be out of office. And in an idealized world, I can know that ahead of time, could let my clients know. Um, because then that's like the ethical thing to do so they don't feel abandoned. But I also like hadn't really thought about what you just brought in of like, yeah, like being in community with people that you can let your clients know like, hey, my colleague, I'm going to be gone a month from now, and we can either skip that session or like there's someone else like my colleague, just I don't know, professional jargon makes me but yeah, I like that idea. That's cool. Yeah, breaks are important,
Mhm.
and they can be navigated with like, yeah, ways where everyone gets to feel cared for. So I really like that piece you brought in about, yeah, professional community.
Um, yeah. Any other thoughts?
um yeah, I think like having a decent like assessment of like my capacity and like how many clients I can take on and how much break do I actually need between them, like those will be things that I'll want to kind of know. And in one of my classes this summer we talked about like little rituals in between clients, which could be like washing hands or lighting a candle or, yeah, yeah, structure. I feel like life is trying to get me to like embrace structure, in those little things of like, okay, like I have these things that I do feel like supportive. So yeah, those are just some like last little thoughts I'm having.
I really, really like that. Yeah, like that daily structure. Um, yeah, I've been thinking about that too. And I mean, I always plan my life way too far ahead and it doesn't happen that way. But I've thought about like, yeah, a 50-minute appointment with 10 minutes in between. My sense is for me, that might feel too fast. And so like maybe I want to do hour appointments or 30 minutes in between, or I don't know exactly, but just um yeah, I'm starting to think about different ways that I could build in slowness when I know that that's something that I need.
Yeah, I like it. All right, we're running lower on time now, so I'm gonna let any last thoughts on self-care.
No?
All right, we figured it out.
Yeah, we saw